study such things, and understandable by almost anyone. If the Earth were truly just 6,000 years old, do you think it would be an easy thing to do to come up with such a measurement? Wouldn't there be simple astronomical measurements pointing to such an age? Wouldn't there be simple geological processes and measurements also pointing to such an age? It seems like if the world were really 6,000 years old, that would be a very easy thing to prove, don't you think? Well, you want to know a funny thing about this fact, though? There isn't any evidence. Zero. Zip. Not a shred. And what do you get when you ask pointed questions of young Earth creationist organizations pointing out this rather embarrassing fact? Not only do you get links to the exact same articles over and over again, which give multiple claims to a supposedly young Earth, but not a single measurement of exactly 6,000 years, give or take a few hundred years, or even a couple thousand years. You never get that. You also get insulted almost as a matter of policy. And by the way, all the claims that they link to of a supposedly young Earth have all been debunked and refuted multiple times. One group in particular insults almost anyone who asks a very simple question if it just so happens to fall outside the very scripted and allowable line of inquiry. The Biblical Creationist and Apologetic Ministries Facebook page is the place to go and get abused if you just happen to ask the wrong question. Go ahead and ask them if they have any scientific measurement that points to that 6,000 years of age that they claim, and guess what? You're going to get a link to that same page with all that supposed evidence of a young Earth. But never do you get a single measurement that points to anything even close to 6,000 years of age. They just won't do it. Point that out to them that they never give you a measurement of 6,000 years, and the insults start flying. Would you like to see a few examples of those insults? Because there's plenty. Okay, here they are. An old Earth is described by them as the idea that evolutionists cling to like a fly to manure. Present evidence to them of a multi-billion-year-old universe, and you get, so you were there at the beginning with your little notepad? Disagree with their assertion that the Earth is 6,000 years old, and you get, your delusional zeal to your atheistic worldview won't allow you to process that reality. Try to reiterate to them multiple times that you're a Christian, you don't believe in evolution, but you do hold to an old Earth position, and here's what you get. They like to label you and talk about your intellectually and morally vacuous evolutionist-based philosophical paradigm. They use that to denigrate your position as inferior to their position, of course. And then this was presented to someone who lives in Europe. Obviously, delusional tendencies run high in today's European secular-tard community. That was followed up by, European left-wing secular-tards have real mental pathological disorders that need to be treated. A secular-tard? What's a secular-tard? And finally, there is this jewel of a meme. It tells the absolute truth of basement atheist keyboard warriors living in their mom's basement and endlessly trolling creationist social media sites. Okay? This was a position they took and used to describe this meme right here posted by the group featuring a dildo, a jar of anal lube, and a picture of Richard Dawkins on the wall with a semen stain on it. Remember, this was from a Christian group. This is how Christians present their case for a 6,000-year-old Earth. And then what happens when you disagree with them? I don't know why, but I'm not very convinced.
Hi, I'm Andrew Cook. In 2014, I invited Dr. Hugh Ross from the organisation Reasons to Believe to come to Australia. 2 years later, I invited Dr. Jeff Zwerig, also of Reasons to Believe. And again, prior to him arriving, he was accused of being a part of an organisation that was not actually Christian, that it was seeking to undermine the Christian faith and seeking to impose science into the Bible. So in addressing these issues, I wanted to raise them directly with Dr. Jeff Zwerig because initially
some kids started calling me Dr. Dino because I got a dinosaur on my tie. You know, I speak on dino.
A little leaven leavens the whole lump. Somehow,
I was a high school science and math teacher for 15 years. We moved to Pensacola in January of 89, and the neighbor kid threw the newspaper and said, "Hey, Kent, would you like to get one extra paper if I have one, or would you like to sign up?" I said, "No, I don't want the paper because I don't have a parakeet." And it's the only thing I can think it's good for. But anyway, he gave me a paper every once in a while. There was an article in there that said dinosaur bones were found in Montana from 80 million years ago or something like that. So I wrote my first ever letter to the editor, and I said, "No, these dinosaur bones are from those that drowned in the flood in the days of Noah. The world is not millions of years old. This is a bunch of propaganda." Well, you would have thought I had shot the sacred cow. Man, I got called.
You did?
I got called everything but a white boy in that paper for the next 6 months. And I thought, what did I do? Finally, a student called me from University of West Florida. He said, "Kent, would you like to come debate one of our professors? We're reading all your letters in our class." I said, "I've never had a debate in my life except with my wife, and I lose those every time." How many men know what I'm talking about? Okay. I said, "Well, sure, I'll come debate the guy." So I went and had my first ever debate at the University of West Florida, and I slaughtered the poor guy. I thought, they can't all be this dumb, are they? They are. I've now had 107 debates at universities, and I defend the position that the Bible is literally true and scientifically accurate. The earth is not millions of years old. God made it all in 6 days, about 6,000 years ago, just like he said. It was destroyed by a big flood in the days of Noah, and that's where the fossils come from. Well, anyway, that led to churches asking me to come, and pretty soon I was traveling all over the world speaking 900 times a year on the subject of creation, evolution, and dinosaurs and stuff like that. And we were building a little, in my backyard, a dinosaur adventure land for kids to come visit. And so we had several college students who would come work whenever they could. And they'd say, "Hey, Kent, I got 3 hours free. Can I do something?" We'd give them the pickup truck and $3,000 and say, "Go buy shingles or go buy plywood," or whatever we were doing. So I would have my wife go down to the bank every 2 weeks and get out $9,500 if we had it, for all these projects we had going. The pastor said, "Try to keep it under $10,000 or they're going to think you're a drug dealer." Okay, well, I've never taken drugs. I've never tasted alcohol. I had NyQuil a couple times. But anyway, I said, from 99 to 2002, we were going every 2 weeks, getting out cash to have all the building projects at our place. 2002, I called the staff in. I said, "Hey, look, I don't like my wife carrying all this cash and keeping this on hand. We're going to get a couple credit cards." And I'm a little reluctant to trust a college student with a pickup truck and a credit card, but we did. And so 2002, we stopped using cash and went to credit cards, okay? 2006, July 2006, 4 years later, a SWAT team came storming into my house, 20 SWAT team guys and IRS agents and Escambia County police officers. I said, "What on earth do you want?" "You're being arrested." I said, "For what?" "The judge will tell you." For what? They took my wife out of bed, wouldn't let her get dressed, put a robe on or go to the bathroom, took her to the federal courthouse in her nightgown in handcuffs. We went down to the courthouse. I said, "What on earth do you want?" "You're being arrested for structuring." I said, "What is that?" They said, "Well, 5 years ago, you took your money out of the bank in amounts less than $10,000. Yeah? Okay. They held a trial. They put me on trial. The law says you have to have 2 transactions in 1 day that are under $10,000, but they total over $10,000. Now, that's what the drug dealers do. Go in the morning, take out $9,500. Go in the afternoon, take out $9,500, and the bank never fills out some kind of form. We never did that. It was just one withdrawal every 2 weeks. Period. End of story. So at the end of trial, my attorney said, "Kent, don't even give a defense. There's no crime here at all." I said, "Okay, if that's what you say." Because the law says it has to be more than $10,000, and you never did that. Okay. So my attorney's reading the jury instructions after trial to the jury, and the U.S. attorney says, "I object." To what? Well, to what he's reading there. Well, that's what the law says. So they held a recess. The judge went back and changed the jury instructions and said to the jury, if you find Kent took out less than $10,000, you have to find him guilty. We said, excuse me, that's not what the law says. Overruled. Never mind, forget it. Take it up with the 11th Circuit Court. So they found me guilty. And so the maximum sentence was 6 months, which would be nothing because I didn't know where the courthouse was, let alone could never been to federal court. A maximum sentence was 6 months. The judge said, Mr. Hovind, your crime is worse than rape. I'm enhancing this to 10 years. They gave me a 10-year sentence.
Worse than rape.
Worse than, and then we ordered the transcript right away, paid $4,600 to get the transcript of the trial because you got to have that to appeal. Usually it takes 2 months to get a transcript. Mine took 16 months just to get the transcript. So I'm sitting in jail the whole time. 16 months.
Sounds like a conspiracy.
Well, I think so. Anyway, so maybe some people don't like the creation message because it goes against their, pinky in the brain, New World Order plans to rule the world. But when we finally got the transcript, things had been changed in the court transcript. The worse than rape stuff was gone. I said, wait, this isn't the transcript of the trial. So anyway, I sat in federal prison for almost 9 years. They moved me 32 times all over the country.
Diesel therapy.
Diesel therapy. I was moved I just got out 9 months ago. Came home to nothing. Okay, they took everything. The U.S. attorney went down and seized our church ministry bank account, Creation Science Evangelism. He seized the bank account. A couple of weeks later, he flew to Detroit to have sex with a 5-year-old, got off the airplane with Vaseline and a doll, and got arrested. They put him in jail, and he hung himself. That was the U.S. attorney put me in jail for taking our own money out of our own bank to build Dinosaur Adventureland. So anyway, I'm a felon. So you're on the stage with a criminal here. Is that okay?
Oh, I'm proud. I'm proud to be on the stage with a criminal like you. What is this crime? I mean, you were really not against them teaching evolution in schools. It's just you said you can't do it by teaching lies, and you expose the lies. Is that not your crime?
Correct.
Against them.
When I do the debates against atheists, like I said, I have over 100 of them. The first thing you do is define the terms. What exactly are we talking about? What do you mean by evolution? We'll talk more about that tomorrow because to me, that is essential that people understand. Because when I say that word, I'm thinking of something, but when they say that word, they're thinking of something totally different.